What's the moment that made you decide being nice wasn't working anymore? I used to be the person everyone called when they needed something. The one who would drop everything to help a friend move or stay late at work to finish someone else's project. My boss would text me at 11 p.m. and I'd respond immediately. I'd cover shifts when coworkers called in sick. I'd volunteer for the projects nobody wanted. I was raised to believe kindness would always come back to you. For 5 years at Davidson Media, I was the first to arrive and last to leave. I helped my coworkers meet their deadlines. I brought coffee for the team when everyone was stressed. I even let my boss Diane take credit for my ideas during presentations, because she said it would look better coming from management. When my dad got sick last year, I asked Diane if I could work remotely 2 days a week, so I could drive him to chemo. She sighed and said, "We really need you in the office, but I suppose we can make it work for a month or two." I was so grateful that I worked twice as hard on my office days, making sure nothing fell through the cracks. Dad's treatment was supposed to last 6 months, but after 3 months, Diane called me into her office. She said the remote arrangement wasn't working. The team needed me physically present every day, and besides, it had been long enough. I explained that Dad was only halfway through treatment, he couldn't drive himself and had no one else. She just stared at me until I lowered my eyes and said, "I understand." I spent the next week burning through my savings to hire drivers for Dad. I was exhausted, constantly worried about him, but still the first one in the office every morning. Then came the Maxwell project, a huge account that could make or break our quarter. I spent weeks researching, building the pitch, creating mock-ups, everything. I even missed one of Dad's appointments to finish it. The day before the presentation, Diane asked to see my materials. I handed over everything, including my presentation notes. The next morning, I arrived early, excited to present my work, only to find the conference room already full. Diane was at the head of the table, showing my slides to the clients. I stood in the doorway frozen as she used my exact words, my research, my ideas. When she saw me, she smiled and said, "Oh, good. Jennifer, can you grab coffee for everyone? We're just getting started." The client turned, saw me and said, "Aren't you presenting this?" Before I could answer, Diane jumped in and said, "Oh no, this is my project. Jennifer just helped with some research." I got the coffee. I stood in the back of the room and watched as she was praised for my work. The client loved it. They signed a 3-year contract, the biggest in company history. When the executives came down to congratulate the team, Diane accepted all the praise. She got a bonus. She got a promotion. I got a $50 gift card to Starbucks. That night, Dad called. He'd fallen trying to get from the taxi to his front door. He had been lying on the ground for 20 minutes before a neighbor found him. If I had been there, I kept thinking, if I had just been there. 2 days later, the company held a celebration for the Maxwell deal. Diane was given an award. I stood and clapped with everyone else. Then came the announcement that made everything stop. Diane would now head up a new division created specifically for the Maxwell account, and she needed a strong team. She spent 10 minutes talking about the qualities she was looking for, then announced her first hire, Ryan, the guy who had been with the company for 6 months and hadn't contributed a single thing to the project. I sat there stunned as everyone congratulated him. Then Diane looked at me and said, "Jennifer, I need those quarterly reports by end of day. I know you won't let me down." Something broke inside me. 5 years. 5 years of saying yes, of staying late, of missing time with my sick father. 5 years of watching others take credit for my work. 5 years of being nice. I stood up, walked to the bathroom, and stared at myself in the mirror. My hands were shaking. I barely recognized the woman looking back at me. That was the moment. That exact moment when I decided being nice wasn't working anymore. I walked back into that celebration with a strange calm I'd never felt before. It was like watching myself from outside my body. As I approached Diane, who was laughing with the executives about plans for the new division, without thinking, I tapped her on the shoulder and said, "I need to speak with you right now." She gave me that patronizing smile, the one that said, "Not now. Sweetie, the adults are talking." But I didn't move. I just stared at her until her smile faltered. "Fine. Jennifer, what is it?" she said with clear annoyance. "I think we should discuss this privately," I said, my voice steadier than I expected. Everyone was looking at us now. She couldn't dismiss me without making a scene, so she followed me to a quiet corner. "What's so urgent that it couldn't wait?" she asked, checking her watch like my time was worthless. "I want to know why Ryan is being moved to the Maxwell team. When I created the entire presentation, the research, the pitch, everything." Diane's eyes narrowed just slightly before that fake smile returned. "Jennifer, we've discussed this. It was a team effort. And as your manager, I decided how to allocate the resources." I felt something bubbling inside me, something hot and unfamiliar anger. "I'm not talking about the presentation anymore. I'm talking about the team assignments for the account I developed. I deserve to be on that team." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Deserving has nothing to do with it. Ryan has the right presence for client-facing roles. You're more of a behind-the-scenes person, Jennifer. And that's where you excel, behind the scenes." I repeated slowly. "Do you mean doing all the work while others take the credit?" Her face hardened. "Watch your tone. This isn't productive. Let's talk when you've calmed down." I didn't realize I was raising my voice until I saw people turning to look so productive like me, staying until midnight, working on the Maxwell presentation while you were at your son's basketball game. Diane stepped closer, her voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Jennifer, I think you should take the rest of the day off. Clearly, you're not in a professional mindset right now." I almost did it. I almost backed down. apologized, and scurried away like I always did, but then my phone buzzed with a text from the hospital. Dad had been admitted after his fall, more serious than they initially thought possible. Internal bleeding. I looked up at Diane. I'm not taking the day off. I'm quitting. Her eyes widened. What? I quit? I'm done being your workhorse. I'm done watching you take credit for my ideas. I'm done sacrificing my family for this job where I'm not valued or respected. She switched tactics instantly, her voice softening. Jennifer, don't be hasty. You're upset. I understand, but you're a valuable member of the team. I almost laughed the first time you've ever said that to me, is when I'm quitting. People were definitely staring now. One of the executives was walking over, looking concerned. Is everything okay over here? He asked. No, it's not. I said before Diane could speak. I've just resigned because I'm tired of having my work stolen by my manager. The entire Maxwell presentation was mine. Every slide, every word, every concept. But Diane presented it as her own. The executive, Ted Wilson, looked surprised. Jennifer, these are serious accusations. They're not accusations, they're facts, I said, feeling strangely powerful. I have the original files on my personal drive with creation dates. I have emails where I sent drafts to Diane. I even have the research notes in my handwriting. Diane's face had gone pale. This is ridiculous. She's being emotional because of personal issues. Her father is sick and she's not handling the stress. Well, I felt a flash of rage at her using my father's illness against me. That was it, the final straw. I pulled out my phone, opened my email, and forwarded something to Ted's address. You'll find I just sent you the original presentation with all my notes, including the comments where Diane specifically asked me to remove my name from the presenter section. You'll also find the recording I made of our conversation last month where she told me, and I quote, "Just do the work and let me handle the client. I need this win for my promotion." I hadn't actually planned to send that recording. I'd made it for my own sanity to remind myself I wasn't crazy, but now it felt like divine intervention that I had it. Diane's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Ted checked his phone, his expression changing as he opened the email. Jennifer, let's discuss this in my office, he said quietly. I shook my head. I'm done discussing. I'm done working here. I'm done being nice. I have to go to the hospital. My dad needs me. I'll email HR my resignation. I turned to walk away when Ted said, wait, this is concerning information. We need to address this. I looked back at them. Diane's face was a mixture of shock and fury.